So just this past weekend, Insidious: The Last Key opened up in theaters, and it did extraordinarily well for horror and for this franchise at the box office, which not only is really cool for just horror in general, but it's really cool for the fact that the face of this horror franchise is a 70-year-old actress, which in my opinion is just freaking awesome. Now, in Insidious: The Last Key, we follow our beloved Elise and her paranormal team's spectral sightings. And they get a call for a paranormal investigation that's going on at this house. This guy thinks his house is haunted, of course. The whole shebang. They've heard it a million times before. But Elise is taken back when she realizes that this haunting is happening in her childhood home, which might bring back some demons from her past. Now look, I'm a big, massive fan of the Insidious franchise. I love the first 3 films. I remember going to the theater to see that first film and just being scared to death. It was one of those films that actually came home with me after the film, and me and my dad had a great time watching it. So I was really looking forward to The Last Key, but I also have to admit I had my reservations due to the fact that trailers just never really impressed me, and nor warranted a 4th film in a franchise that I felt ended perfectly with Chapter 3. But so I have to say, walking out of the theater of The Last Key, this is far better than most horror films that ever get dropped in January, but I do have to admit this is by far the weakest installment in the Insidious franchise. But definitely elements about this film that I did absolutely love. And of course, the biggest being Lynn Shay herself. She's such a delight to watch in this. She's so charming, so likable. She eats up every scene that she has in this movie. She's just a doll to watch. And also, this movie is really her movie. This is her vehicle to really get to know her character. And we get a lot of backstory about her character. And I thought all that backstory was really compelling and interesting and fascinating. And I really liked her arc, not only in this movie, but in the Insidious franchise as a whole. And I like that this movie explores a theme that you've seen explored millions of times in other franchises, but they do a really good job in this movie. There are just as enough demons that are terrifying in the real world as there are in the supernatural further world that I thought was really fascinating. I thought they did an excellent job exploring those themes in this movie. The biggest complaint about this movie is the lack of scares. And I think that's because this movie, at the end of the day, offers more and less of the same. In my opinion, the jump scares in this felt a bit lackluster. They weren't as exciting, they weren't as fun or clever or creative. There were a few good suspenseful moments, particularly one in a basement and one in a crawl space that I actually thought was super tense and very fun to watch. But I also think the reason why the suspense and tension couldn't be sustained is because the pacing of this movie is completely off. And I'm like, we could literally trim a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, and really condense this to keep that suspense sustained. Overall, Insidious: The Last Chapter is a very lukewarm installment into the franchise. It does offer a great performance from Lynn Shay and offers wonderful backstory to her characters, but unfortunately, the film is lacking scares due to disjointed pacing and just not enough risk taken, and in my opinion, leaving this to be the weakest installment in the Insidious franchise. As the score goes, I'm going to give Insidious: The Last Key a 2.5 out of 5. So you guys, there you have it. That was my review for Insidious: The Last Key. Make sure to let me know in the comment section below if you saw this movie, what'd you think of it, and until next time, you guys, I'm the Slasher Movier, and you guys have just been slashed.